Congratulations, your AI pilot worked. Leadership is excited, everyone wants in, and someone just used the phrase full AI transformation by Q3. You have until the end of this episode to figure out how to survive that meeting. Welcome to the Blair AI Rollout podcast, where operations leaders get a structured, practical path to rolling out AI inside their organizations. I'm Steve, creator of the Blair AI Rollout framework, and if you're responsible for workflows, teams, or outcomes, you're in the right place. No hype, no chaos, just a clear, responsible way to move AI forward inside your organization.
Listen to questions.
This week's listener question comes from Maria. Maria is the VP of Operations at a mid-sized manufacturing company in Ohio. And Maria, I have to say, your question made me smile. Not because it's funny. Well, actually it is a little funny. But mostly because it is one of the most relatable situations I have heard from an operations leader in a long time. Maria says, Steve, I did everything right. I ran a controlled pilot, I measured the results, I brought the evidence to leadership just like you talk about, and it worked. Leadership loved it. Now, they want to roll AI out across 5 departments simultaneously by the end of Q3. I have one coordinator, a part-time analyst, and an intern that loves to play Pokémon on her phone. How do I slow this down without looking like I'm the person who killed the momentum? Maria, first of all, download Pokémon Go. It's awesome. But seriously, what you're describing is something I call the success trap. And it is real. You did everything right. You were structured, responsible, and measured. You brought evidence to leadership instead of enthusiasm. And it worked so well that leadership is now ready to throw all of that structure out the window and just go fast. Here's the thing. You're not the person trying to kill the momentum. You are the person trying to protect it. And those are very different things. Maria's question drives everything we cover today. And if you're an operations leader who has ever succeeded at something and immediately regretted it, stay with us. This one's for you. Let's start by naming exactly what just happened to you. Because it has a name, and understanding it changes everything. You just fell into the success trap. And before you feel bad about that, the success trap is not your fault. It's actually a sign that you did your job well. You ran a structured pilot, you measured real results, and you communicated them clearly to leadership. That's exactly what you were supposed to do. The problem is that success has a side effect that nobody warns you about. It creates urgency. Leadership sees the results, and their brains immediately go to scale. If one pilot in one department saved us this much time and this much friction, imagine what 5 departments could do. Imagine what the whole company could do. Let's go Q3 full transformation and put on a roadmap. And Maria is sitting there with one coordinator, a part-time analyst, and an intern who is, bless her heart, not quite ready to lead a 5-department AI rollout. Here's why the success trap is genuinely dangerous. And I want to be clear that this isn't about slowing down for the sake of slowing down. When organizations try to scale AI too fast after an early win, a few things happen almost every time. The structure that made the pilot work gets left behind because there's no time to replicate it properly. Guardrails that were carefully defined for one workflow get loosely applied to 5 completely different workflows with 5 completely different risk profiles. The people who made the pilot successful get spread so thin that nothing gets done well. And when something goes wrong, and when you move that fast, something always goes wrong, the entire AI initiative takes the blame. Not the speed, not the lack of structure. AI itself becomes the problem. That's the success trap. You worked hard to build something responsible. And if you let leadership's excitement outrun your structure, you risk losing everything you built. Understanding that is step 1. Now let's talk about what to do about it. All right, so you understand the success trap. You know why moving too fast after an early win is genuinely risky. But here's the challenge. You can't walk into a leadership meeting and say, I think we're moving too fast. That's not a strategy. That's a speed bump. And speed bumps don't survive leadership momentum meetings. So here's what you do instead. You let the evidence do the talking. Think about what you actually have from your pilot. You have real data. You know what workflow was tested, what guardrails were in place, who was involved, what success looked like, and what it took to get there. That's not just a win. That's a blueprint. And that blueprint tells a very specific story about what responsible scaling actually requires. Here's how to use it. Go back to your pilot data and ask a few honest questions. How long did it take to define the guardrails for that one workflow? How long did it take to get the right people aligned, trained, and comfortable? How long did it take to establish a review process and make sure outputs were being checked before they affected anything important? Now multiply that by 5. Not because you're trying to make the math scary, but because that math is the honest answer to the question of what 5 simultaneous department rollouts actually requires. And when you present that math to leadership, calmly, clearly, without drama, you're not saying no. You're saying here's what yes actually costs. Maria, your evidence is not your enemy right now. It is your shield. Leadership trusted your evidence when it told them the pilot worked. They'll trust your evidence when it tells them what responsible scaling looks like. The key is to keep speaking the same language they responded to in the first place: data, outcomes, structure, and results. Don't switch to caution language. Don't switch to risk language. Stay in evidence language. Because here's the truth. Leadership doesn't actually want chaos. They want results. They got excited because your pilot delivered results. Your job now is to show them that the path to more results runs directly through more structure, not less of it. Evidence got you into this room. Evidence is how you navigate it. All right, so you've named the success trap. You've let the evidence do the talking. Now comes the most important move of this entire conversation. You need to give leadership a better yes. And I want to be really clear about what I mean by that, because this is where a lot of operations leaders get it wrong. They walk into the follow-up meeting prepared to defend a no. They've got their risk list, their capacity concerns, their timeline objections, and they present it all very professionally and very carefully. And leadership hears exactly one thing. She's pumping the brakes. And the moment you become the person pumping the brakes, even if you're completely right, you've lost the room. Because leadership doesn't remember the evidence after that. They remember the friction. So instead of defending a no, Maria, you're going to walk in with a better yes. Here's what that looks like. Instead of 5 departments simultaneously by Q3, you propose 2 departments sequentially with a defined review point in between. You pick the 2 that are most similar to your original pilot, so the guardrails translate cleanly. You set clear success criteria for each one, and you build in a 30-day review before the next department starts. That's not slower. That's smarter. And here's how you frame it to leadership. You don't say we can't do 5 departments. You say, based on what our pilot taught us, here's the path that gives us the highest probability of success across all 5 departments by end of year. We move the first 2 through Q3. We review and refine, and we enter Q4 with a proven model that scales cleanly into the remaining 3. Suddenly, you're not the person slowing things down. You're the person with a plan. And Maria, this matters for your team too. Your coordinator and your part-time analyst just ran a successful pilot. They are tired, they are proud, and they're watching to see whether leadership is going to respect what it took to get here or just pile on the next 5 things without a second thought. The way you advocate for a responsible pace in that leadership meeting isn't just strategy. It's how you protect your team, maintain the quality of your work, and demonstrate that you are the kind of operations leader who delivers results sustainably. Give leadership a better yes. That's how you win this meeting. And maybe give the intern a shot at leading Department 3. Honestly, at this point, she's probably more focused than anyone thinks.
AI hot tip.
Here's this week's AI hot tip. If you've just run a successful AI pilot and leadership is pushing you to scale fast, before your next leadership meeting, do this one thing. Build a 1-page pilot summary, not a slide deck, not a formal report. 1 page. At the top, what workflow was tested and why? In the middle, what the results actually were. Time saved, friction reduced, consistency improved, whatever you measured. At the bottom, what it took to get there. The guardrails, the review process, the people involved, the timeline. That one page does three things simultaneously. It reminds leadership what responsible AI adoption actually looks like in practice. It gives you a concrete reference point when the conversation turns to scaling, and it becomes the blueprint for every department rollout that comes after it. Maria, you already have this data. You just need to put it on one page. Because in a leadership meeting where everyone is excited and moving fast, a single clear document is worth more than 10 minutes of verbal explanation. One page. Before the meeting. Bring it printed. Yes, printed. Some things never go out of style. All right, let's bring it home. Here's what we covered today. First, name the success trap. When your AI pilot works and leadership wants to scale everything immediately, that's not a green light. That's a warning sign. Excitement without structure is how responsible AI rollouts turn into chaotic technology initiatives. Understanding that is step one. Second, let the evidence do the talking. The same data that got you into that leadership meeting is what gets you out of it responsibly. Don't switch to caution language. Don't switch to risk language. Stay in evidence language. Leadership trusted your evidence when it told them the pilot worked. They'll trust it when it tells them what responsible scaling actually requires. Third, give leadership a better yes. Don't walk in prepared to defend a no. Walk in with a phased plan that feels ambitious, moves with intention, and gives the organization the highest probability of success across every department. You're not the person slowing things down. You're the person with the plan. And Maria, thank you. You did everything right. You ran a structured pilot, you measured the results, you brought the evidence to leadership, and it worked. Don't let the success trap take that away from you. Protect the structure that got you here. That structure is your superpower. And for what it's worth, I have a feeling that intern is going to surprise everyone.
Optimistic AI thought of the week.
And finally, here's this week's optimistic AI thought of the week. We spent a lot of time in this podcast talking about structure, guardrails, and responsible pacing. And I know that can sometimes sound like we're putting the brakes on something exciting. So I want to flip that for a moment. Maria's story, as stressful as that leadership meeting sounds, is actually one of the most optimistic stories I hear from operations leaders right now. Because here's what her story actually says. It says that when AI is introduced responsibly with structure and evidence and a clear review process, it works. Leadership noticed. They got excited. They want more of it. That's not a problem. That's progress. And yes, managing that excitement responsibly is hard work. Yes, being the person in the room who says, let's make sure we do this right, is sometimes uncomfortable. Yes, building a phase plan when everyone wants everything immediately takes courage and clarity. But here's what I know about the operations leaders who do that work. The ones who protect the structure, even when the pressure is to go fast. Those are the ones whose organizations actually get this right. Not the organizations that move the fastest. Not the ones with the biggest AI budgets or the flashiest tools. The ones with leaders like Maria, who did the hard, unglamorous work of building something responsible and then had the courage to protect it when it mattered most. That's not a small thing. That's exactly how lasting organizational capability gets built. You've already done the hardest part. Now go win that meeting. And someone please get that intern a proper project. That's a wrap on episode 4 of season 3 of the Blair AI Rollout podcast. If today's episode resonated with you, if you heard yourself in Maria's situation, here's your next step. Head over to blairts.com/framework. Take the free AI readiness score and find out exactly where your organization stands today. Whether you're just starting out like David, navigating sensitive data like Rhonda, dealing with unauthorized AI use like Hugh, or managing leadership excitement like Maria, the framework gives you a structured, no-hype path forward no matter where you are right now. Link is in the show notes. And Maria, if you're listening, you've got this. Walk into that meeting with your one-page summary, your phase plan, and your better yes. Leadership is lucky to have someone in that room who actually knows what responsible AI adoption looks like. Keep those listener questions coming. This show exists because of questions like Maria's and David's and Rhonda's and Hugh's. Send yours to steve@blairts.com. I read every single one, and your question could drive a future episode. If you found value today, please take 30 seconds and leave a review wherever you listen. It helps more operations leaders find the show, and it genuinely means everything. I'm Steve. This is the Blair AI Rollout Podcast. Let's roll this out the right way.